city if you've been there?
Well,
I can.
okay, perfect. Everyone knows I was born in North York. I've lived in this city 39 years. I've talked to people younger than me. I've talked to people all the way in their 90s. And everybody can agree with me that 30 years ago, the city was better than it was 20 years ago. And 20 years ago, it was better than it was 10 years ago, and so on and so forth. And we're now at the point, if we go in the same direction for another 10 years, the city is going to be unrecognizable, and we're probably not even going to be able to call it a top-tier city in the world anymore. We have a massive amount of potential in this city because there is a massive amount of waste and corruption in this city. We have a $16.1 billion budget. They couldn't even tell me where it was allocated to, let alone how it was being spent. There's billions of dollars to save there that can go back into our communities and help the vulnerable people and the minority communities. There are so many ways that we can solve this housing crisis that is being perpetuated year after year to the point where young people see home ownership as a relic of age past. We are leaving our seniors behind. We are leaving our students behind. We are leaving Torontonians behind. Every year, the government is growing in size, scope, and power. And every year, it becomes less efficient. And they do less with more while trying to convince the public they need to do more with less. I want to get that, and I want to flip that script. I want to shrink the size and scope of government, and I want to make an excess of money for the people, and I want to have opportunities for the people that would otherwise not be there. We also have to address this 15-minute city agenda that is coming from a globalist outside of this nation. I spoke all around the world. I've seen it bear fruit in England, I've seen it in France, I've seen it in Edmonton that's already been divided into 15 districts. They're already getting ready to do it here, and they tell you it's convenient. They tell you it's for the environment. What they don't tell you is it's going to drastically change your way of life. They're going to start limiting people's ability to drive and own automobiles. They are going to start trying to track your so-called carbon footprint. And these are going to be new methods of power and control that the government intends to use to further impoverish the people. When you combine that with the massive amount of waste and the massive amount of corruption that the city's already been facing, we have a big battle ahead of us. We had the best police force in the world, in my opinion, growing up, and we used to look at the police as heroes. In the past 3 years, they turned into revenue generators for a corrupt government that were giving out fines to women sitting on park benches with their children, whose husbands just had their business closed and are going through a mental health crisis. And we wonder why the city isn't as safe and as happy as it should be. We need to hire more police, but we need to reappropriate their resources to serving and protecting the public and becoming an integral part of the community once again. When that happens, we will instantly see a shift in attitude and instantly see a shift in energy to a more positive and happy place in the city. And that will affect the rising crime rates and the safety of all citizens. These are the things that I will do just getting started as mayor. And we have a whole bunch more up to tell you. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate this opportunity, and I look forward to serving the people of the city. I would like to add one more thing. I challenge any other candidate to prove they are a servant of the people. My cell phone number, this is national TV. This is my personal direct line, because I personally serve each and every one of you. And it's 416-400-9994. I challenge any of the other candidates running against me to give this kind of access and transparency to the people to prove that they really serve the public that they pledge to. Thank you.
Can we ask you a couple questions?
Of course you can. It's my pleasure.
The TTC has experienced a lot of random acts of violence that are
Yes.
taking place right now, and it's caught the attention of the entire country, if not the world. What's your vision or your plan to address that issue?
It's got to be a two-pronged approach. Number one, we got to introduce a deterrent for that, and the deterrent for that will be something like a security surveillance monitoring system combined with a joint operation between private security and the Toronto Police Service. We also need to attack the conditions that make people get violent on the TTC. And it's the fact that most people are paying, even if they get a pass, over $1,000 a year to ride this. We need to come up with a new system, a graduated system, one for students, one for seniors, one for people that need to use it every day for work. And then when it becomes massively more affordable, you're going to see the ridership increase, because the ridership is down to like way before it was pandemic levels, and you can't blame the pandemic anymore, so what are you blaming? You're blaming the high cost, and we're blaming the fact that people don't feel safe when they go there. So it's easy. You address those two situations, and that's the solution. There's always a solution to every problem. Any problem you can present me, I'll provide a solution for. If it's a very complicated one, and it's beyond the scope of my knowledge at this particular moment, I'll tell you I have to consult with my people, and I'll get back to you. But I'll always find a solution that benefits everybody.
Hypothetically, let's say you win this upcoming election. You meet with your police chief for the first day. What do you say?
I'd say that we're going to be cleaning house over there. I'd say that I don't want to cut their budget, but I want them to be able to do a lot better with the budget they have. I want to be able to hire more officers so they have more manpower, but I don't want to be wasting money. How much money was wasted in places like Ottawa, in places like the protests where there was absolutely no violence, no threat to the community whatsoever, but the government just wanted to display a show of force, and they spent hundreds of millions of our tax dollars doing so, wasteful. That money could have been spent putting those officers to actually contribute to their community. And not only would it help the community, it would increase the relationship between the public and the officers. And that's what we want. We want everybody to feel liked and appreciated, no matter their status or no matter their job in society. Right now, people don't really feel safe when they see police. A lot of people feel afraid when they see police because they're used to getting fined or burst by them, especially during COVID. We're going to change all that.
Chris, how do you deal and collaborate with other forms of government, with the provincial, with the federal government, if you consider them corrupt?
Just because they're corrupt doesn't mean you can't deal with them. It just means you have to hold them to account and you got to put them under scrutiny. And that's what I'll do. No one's going to want to be corrupt with me because I'm very public. And I'll make you very public. And I'll hold you accountable to the people. I'll hold your feet to the fire every single time. And they're going to know that when they deal with me. So when they deal with me, they're going to deal with me straight and they're going to take me seriously. Anybody else?
What about when it comes to social issues, things like homelessness, it seems like drug addiction, mental health issues? How would you address those?
I already touched on that, and the best way I think we could do that is by saving massive amounts of money within the city budget that can then be reappropriated to those causes. We could create government housing for veterans, for homeless. We could create mental health and drug rehabilitation programs. We can create programs that get these people jobs so they can actually start looking after themselves and not just feel like they are a burden on society and feel like they've been left behind by society. Thank you, guys. And it's an absolute pleasure for this opportunity. That's all I want to say today.